Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Now in this video we are going to start the chapter electric charges and fields. This is the first video in this series for this year. Now as you know, your NCERT textbook, it is divided into two parts. The first part is basically it is concentrated on the topics electrostatics and electrodynamics, that is when charges are at rest and what happens when charges starts moving. And the second part deals with optics and modern physics. Okay, so we are starting from the first chapter. Now this first chapter comes under a unit called electrostatics. Now this electrostatics, in this unit you have two chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2. The first chapter is electric charges and fields, and the second unit is electrostatic potential and capacitance. So in this video I am going to discuss two topics from this first chapter. One is the concept of charge, and then we will discuss the topic of gold leaf electroscope. Now this term electrostatics, it is a combination of two terms, electro and statics. Okay, electro means charges and statics means at rest. So basically we are going to study about what are the things that happens because of these static charges. So first thing is they will exert force on other static charges. These charges will have a field, electrostatic field surrounding the charges, and they will have a potential. Okay, so basically we will be studying about the forces, the fields, the potentials arising due to static charges. Okay, so and we will later in this part of the chapter we will study that how these force, field, potential, all these quantities are interrelated. Okay, we have already studied about this concept of force, field and potential in gravitation, and we will also see that how this force is also similar to that force. What is the similarity between gravitational field and electric field? What is the similarity between gravitational potential and electric potential? The first observation with regard to the charge or the charges was made by Thales of Miletus. Thales of Miletus. He was a Greek philosopher. He was a Greek philosopher, he was a mathematician, he was an astronomer, and he was the first person to observe the concept of this charge. Miletus is a place in Greece and his name was Thales. He was like a sage, okay, Indian rishi, like in India we called rishi. So he was a sage, he was a philosopher, he was a mathematician, he was an astronomer. Okay, and the first concept of this charge was first made by him. Now suppose you have two glass rods, okay, and one glass rod is rubbed with silk, the other glass rod is rubbed with wool. Okay, and now these two glass rods are brought close to each other. Now it is observed that they were experiencing a repulsive force. Okay, and this silk which was rubbed with this glass rod and the wool which was rubbed with this glass rod, when they were brought close, again they were experiencing a repulsive force. Okay, so now that means these two, with regard to electrical behavior, they were showing same kind of property, and similarly this silk and this wool. Okay, now the silk which was rubbed with this and wool was rubbed with this glass rod. Now after that rubbing action, glass rod was brought close to this wool. Okay, now it was observed that they were experiencing an attractive property. Okay, so these are some of the observations. Okay, now another observation was, suppose you have a plastic rod, okay, and a plastic rod was rubbed with fur, okay, and it was brought in contact with two pith balls. Okay, now pith balls are materials which easily absorb charges. Okay, which easily acquire charges. So it was observed that when this plastic rod which was rubbed with fur is brought in contact with two pith balls, then they will start repelling each other. So this is a pith ball. So they were suspended from a common support. So because of this repulsion, they will separate like this. Okay. So they have acquired some kind of charges. Okay. Now what kind of charge we don't know, but they were repelling. Okay. We have yet not assigned any charge. Okay. In your NCERT, they have assigned that it is a negative charge. Okay. That is perfectly correct. But suppose initially we are not assigning, we don't know still that what kind of charges are there. But they were repelling each other. Now similar observations were made when a glass rod rubbed with silk is brought in contact with the pith ball. Again they were repelling. Okay. So this is the case when glass rod is rubbed with silk. This is the case when plastic rod was rubbed with fur. Both cases the pith balls were repelling. Okay. Now there was another observation wherein a glass rod which was rubbed with silk and the plastic rod which was rubbed with fur. Now these two rods were brought in contact with the pith balls. Now it was observed that the pith balls were attracting. Okay. So this is the pith ball. Okay. So one pith ball was brought in contact with a glass rod which was rubbed with silk. The other pith balls was brought in contact with a plastic rod which was rubbed with fur. Okay. Now they were attracting. Okay. So what is the observation we can make out from all these things? The first conclusion is that we have two kind of charges. Okay. We have two kind of charges and they have opposite polarity. Okay. One is a positive charge, the other one is a negative charge. This is the first observation. Okay. The other observation is the like charges, they repel each other. Okay. So here if we assign negative charges, so they are repelling each other. Here again we are assigning positive charges, so again they are repelling each other, and here we are assigning a negative charge and a positive charge, so they are attracting each other. So the second observation is like charges they repel each other and unlike charges they attract each other. Okay. And the other observation is like how do these bodies have acquired charges, that is by contact. The plastic rod was brought in contact, the glass rod was brought in contact, so charges are transferred to uncharged body through contact. This was another observation. Now there is one more important observation, like suppose when this glass rod is rubbed with wool. Okay. Now they have acquired opposite charges. Okay. Now when they are brought in contact, they neutralize each other. Okay. That is, charges that was acquired on rubbing, okay, that has been neutralized when they are again brought in contact. So that means that is the reason we say that the charges have opposite polarity, because see, suppose on rubbing this has acquired some +2 units of positive charge and this has acquired some -2 units of positive charge. This is just for the sake of understanding. Okay. So now when they are again brought in contact, this +2 and -2 they cancel each other and the total charge again becomes 0. So charges that are acquired on rubbing are neutralized when the charged bodies are again brought in contact. This is another important observation with regard to charge. Because of this, charges were named as positive charges and negative charges, and these charges were named by Benjamin Franklin. So coming to the last part of this video, the topic of gold leaf electroscope. Okay. Now basically gold leaf electroscope, it consists of a box this front portion, there was a glass window and there is a hole. On that hole a rubber ring is fixed to hold this rod. Okay, this is a metallic rod and this is a metallic knob. This is metal knob, and this is metal rod. Okay, this rod is bent at this portion. A gold leaf, it is made a fold like this, and it is placed over here. Okay, now what happens when a charged body is brought in contact to this metal knob? So the charges goes to the metal knob, goes to the rod, and goes to the metal leaf. Okay, and it goes to the two halves of the metal leaf. Okay, so this metal leaf, it is like this. Okay, now same charges are going to this side and this side. Okay, so they will start repelling, so this leaf will diverge like this. Okay, so the greater the amount of charge, greater will be the repulsion and greater the divergence. Okay, so the more number of charges goes to the leaves, the greater will be the divergence. So from the amount of divergence, we can compare the amount of charge on a given body. Okay, so this is the purpose of a gold leaf electroscope, and the principle is the divergence on the gold leaf is proportional to the amount of charge on the charged body. So this is the main idea of gold leaf electroscope. Okay, NCERT textbook. Now in this video I have discussed from page number 1 and page number 2, page number 3 and page number 4. Till page number 4 we have completed in this part of the video. Okay, I have also given the PDF link in the description box, the notes of this topic, which you can also download. So this is the first part of the video, and this series will continue, and I hope this will benefit in your examination. Both we will I will be making these videos keeping in mind your board examination and your entrance examination, and hope this videos serves the purpose. My best wishes to you. Good luck.